The last tab in the Objects Property Panels area is the Animation tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly explain what each of these buttons do, not spend too much time here, because this is going to be covered in detail in a later chapter. So this tab allows you to animate objects and create forward dynamic hierarchy, which is essentially linking and tracking. So the first button I'm going to talk about is this button here, this area here, called Motion. To animate an object, select a type of motion other than not animated. To remove an object animation, select not animated. So right now we'll just click something like basic, and then we have the animation setup wizard that opens. And by selecting a type of motion, we also unlock the ability to play with these other settings. The next one I want to talk about is this button over here, and this one is to forbid animation. Selecting this button will prevent the object from animating. This may be helpful in troubleshooting animation issues when animating multiple objects. The next one down is Object Tracking. Object Tracking allows you to set the selected object to always point in the direction of the tracked object. When tracking is defined, the main axis drop-down list will also become active. So we have this over here. We can say like main camera or something, and now we notice that this button becomes highlighted. A camera tracking an object should have a +Z main axis so that it looks straight at the object it tracks. Selecting +Z will make the camera look straight up 90 degrees from the tracked object direction. The next button down, which is this button here, looks like a chain link, is Forward Dynamic Linking and Tracking. Forward Dynamics is a hierarchical animation feature used to greatly simplify the animation of complex structures. This allows you to link some objects together. When modifying the link parent, the child object will automatically modify the parent. Left-clicking will let you pick Link Object, and right-clicking the button will open the Edit Forward Linking link options. This is one of those double-actioned buttons. So if I right-click, this will open. And this other button up here right above it, it's also a double action button as well. The next button, which doesn't appear here, so I'm going to select my main camera, only appears with the main camera, is this button here that kind of looks like a director's chair, which is non-switchable camera. This button is only available if the selected object is a camera. This forbids animation of the camera and prevents camera switcher keyframes being created in an animation when switching to this camera. If camera switcher is being used, selecting this button will remove all switches to this camera. There's kind of sometimes in movies where the scene jumps around between cameras. We can also do that in View. And if you don't want that to occur, all you have to do is just activate this feature by pressing the button. And it tells you here that it makes it no longer a switchable camera. This button down here, which doesn't appear, I may have to turn something on here. Depends on the object type that you have selected, is the animation toolbox. This toolbox allows you to adjust the global behavior of animated objects. So if I click on this, the animation toolbox opens. So there's several things that we can tweak in here, and we'll cover this in more detail later. And then the next area is this middle area, which I've kind of already showed you, which is tracking. And you select the object that's in your scene that you want to track. The next area below that is Link To, and we don't have it linked to anything. So we can have it linked to the main camera if we wanted to. And then down here we have Response. And what Response does is basically try to simulate exact motion, whereas a real operator would have a hard time following a rapidly moving target. So we can do perfect or we can do loose. So you can create a path and you can have it follow that path perfectly, or you can have it just kind of generalize that path and not have such a jerky camera move. So that's what this slider does.